All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, moving towards the next session, well, another Fireside Chat, and the topic is Unleashing the 5G Era, Transformative Impacts and Future Prospects in India. And to do that, we are extremely honored to have here with us Head E-Commerce, Fixed Derma, Mr. Chirag Jagwani. Please put your hands together for the gentleman, everyone. Well, along with him, I would like to request Mr. Gaurav Mehta, Chief Marketing Officer from Noise, to please join us here on stage. And to moderate the session, please put your hands together for Mr. Naresh Gupta, Managing Partner from Bang in the Middle. With that, I would like to request you, Mr. Gupta, to please do the honor by starting the session.
Thank you. Welcome, Chirag. Welcome, Gaurav. Interesting subject. Let's first start with, and I don't know how many people have actually experienced 5G consistently, constantly, all the time, always on the devices that they own. What is that 5G will give you apart from speed, which is obviously that this will come with great speed. But how does speed matter? What does it do to content? What does it do to streaming? What does it do to brands? How does it start to make you think differently about the brand that you handle?
So, thank you, Naresh. 5G, the high-speed internet, as we would call it, is probably great innovation in terms of providing better connectivity, one, better experience with shopping, better experience with commerce, and also better experience with content consumption. Mostly, this 5G has helped us for improving our content creation strategies or improving our sales. Like 90% of my transaction would be mobile only, on the website, or even on marketplaces. It has led to the advent of many industries in the market. So yes, it has definitely helped a lot in terms of changing how industries would be shaping up.
Gaurav?
Yeah, extension of what Chirag said. Maybe I'll just add, as the Indian consumers are going from evolving in terms of how they transact online specifically, maybe I'll just talk about online. From just like, say buying something because it was cheap to having a lot of options, I think the evolution is moving towards like buying consciously. That would mean that I'm actually buying not just because it's fulfilling my needs and it's coming at a price which is suits my budget, but maybe the evolution will also go towards like buying on experience. That how do I get more content, more experiences around the product that I want to buy? And I think with better bandwidth, better speeds, companies like us and anyone else also will be able to deliver those things. Because right now, there's always a toss-up between, say, do you optimize the conversion funnel or do you optimize, very frankly, the experience and so on and so forth. And a lot of times these are fractured environments, and which is where you like, have a toss-up, I will optimize for this. So hopefully with 5G coming in, the companies can help the consumers also evolve from just like, say, a functional price seeker to a much more experienced, content-driven consumer and understanding what the product will do for them. So that is the expectation that I have from 5G coming in.
But at the base of 5G is still speed. So how is speed so transformative? Say, for instance, you sell something that's driven from impulse and that's driven from feel good inside, whereas you sell something which is a lot more, how do I put it? It's a little more involved you are with the product, and it's like everyday feel and feel good factor that you drive in. In both cases, how does speed start to become a part of your brand strategy?
So we are into smart wearables, right? We launched this product, a smart ring, about a couple of months back. These are medium involvement categories. What I mean by that is, it takes about 23 to 24 days from the start till the time you transact. And there are about 9 to 10 interactions that a person will have with your brand or the industry that you belong to. And all they are looking for is more and more education and content. Because people don't inherently understand technology or what it does for them and how to use it properly and so on and so forth. As of right now, you're working with like say text-based content or say video-based content and so on and so forth. How can you extend that whole philosophy and make it much more immersive for the person? Like this thing. There's a lot of consumer problems we have to solve. What is the right size? How to wear it? How to use it? And so on and so forth. Which requires us to almost show and tell a lot, which we can't today. We launched this particular watch about a couple of weeks back. It's a big watch. It's 1.94 in dial. A person with a larger wrist won't know how it looks on his or her hand, and so on and so forth. So how do you like really make those experiences come to life by addressing user problems? These are some very base level examples that I'm giving you from my category perspective. But the entire thing for a medium involvement category like us is, how do we keep on seeding content and experiences for any consumer problem during the entire conversion funnel is something that I think our category will really gain from.
Chirag, does it change the way people buy a personal care product because pages load faster and you get greater connectivity and stuff like that?
A lot. I would say, I mean, basis what points Gaurav added. For us also, the experience is quite similar. We at Fixerma, as in how the name suggests, fix your derm, we solve a lot of derm issues. So many times the customers have thought that, okay, will this problem solve my skin concern, or will this product not solve my skin concern? And we do a lot of live sessions on Instagram every Friday where we get an interaction with the doctors. You can ask questions, we bust the myths around it. The purchase funnel, though, would be very quick. If I'm not being able to convert the customer very quickly, then the user would jump from my brand to probably any other brand who's offering a better experience. And every skincare product may not be suitable for every skin type. So your skin might find it better, but someone else's skin might find any other product better. So in order to make them experience that product of how it is solving the concern, whether someone, so let's say for example, if someone would have acne, and if I'm saying that, okay, this is a set of products that you should use for acne, this is how your acne was, and with the same person showing their face post use of our products would definitely influence the purchase. So that is where influencer marketing and all those video content consumptions come into picture and help us convert that buyer very quickly. So speed along with the connectivity definitely enhances my conversions for sure.
So what 5G does, from the way I'm getting the whole bit, is that there is a lot more content consumption that starts to happen. People are able to see content a lot more. As brands, you can pitch out and put out a lot more rich media and better produced content, which is video, and so consumers can watch it. But that's the more interesting part that I was wanting to discuss with you guys. With your phone, and people are today all the time bent over, watching the screen, not leaving the screen and stuff like that, and a lot of content consumption happens on that. Does it benefit the brand or takes away from, because then you have to be far more intrusive and you have to break into what the person is watching. And it's no longer short format content that you're watching on your phone. Netflix, and we'll talk about it a little more, you are watching a lot of long format content. So does it take away from the brand or does it ease the brand's life? And both of you can do this because you sell very different things.
For me, it definitely eases the purchase journey of the consumer. So it definitely solves for the brand. And customers get more education, more, they can actually see the product in picture of how the texture is, of how a product would feel, and probably hear from other budding people who would have similar concerns. And definitely they would get converted. So yes, it does solve for the consumer and for the brand as well.
Does that change for you, Gaurav?
Yeah, I mean, like, actually, it's a great point, and I think it's a lesson for the companies. When we talk about, like, say, brands, everybody thinks about, like, marketing. I'm like, but I think brands will have to think like publishers. Because at the end of the day, the only thing which you can't increase is the time that time, right? It's finite. There are only 24 hours in a day, and you're fighting for that time from 10,000 different things. I've seen a number of brands who have really started to think like publishers, but they actually manage a very beautiful marriage of content and commerce. And because of that, I think they are able, and they're not selling. It's not like, ki bhai, khareed lo. But then they're making sure that when the person intends to buy, because of the content work that they have done, they will have some sort of mind share at that particular point when the person wants to convert. So I think it's a great point, and I think a lesson to be learned for brands. Rather than being marketers, you have to be publishers. And I think with 5G coming in, in a big way, there's no hiding place. You have all the tools in the world to actually become a good publisher.
But publisher is not something that brands are automatically tuned to become. Brands are more tuned to solving a consumer problem and giving you a consumer solution. Publishing is something that a third party understands much better. So that might actually become a bit of a huge transformative force, which 5G may not have intended to. Backstage, we were discussing this whole thing of saying how the platforms, so there are 3 guys in India who would give you 5G, which is Vodafone, Airtel, and Jio. Chances of Vodafone giving you 5G are pretty low, so there are just 2 players in this market who would give you a 5G experience. But they are now becoming content aggregators, and Jio Cinema, for instance, has now become a media owner. So the publishing part seems to be going to a network owner. Now, is that good or bad? And how does that start to impact the way you will think of promotions?
I always think that the truth always lies in middle, so I don't think it's good or bad. They are good and bad for both. I think what it simplifies, it brings a lot of data points, a lot of your transaction journeys on the same platform. If you were to just hypothesize that operator A has not just got all the software, but all the content and all the hardware also in the same ecosystem, then as an advertiser, I couldn't be happier. Because now I'm actually able to make a seamless journey for my user across all platforms. Because right now it's very, very fractured, or they're either walled gardens or they're very fractured ecosystems, because of which no matter whichever tech stack will come and say, ki, I can do this, that experience is always fractured. So the good point is that it becomes much more seamless. As a user, obviously monopolies and so on and so forth are never good for any economy. So that's maybe the thing that we have to look out for. But I think they're good and bad, both things. With
Chirag?
operators.
So for us, I think we are not a very great OTC brand yet. For us, the ads and on these OTT channels or these OTT platforms would not be a major significance, but just the fact that these network providers are providing better connectivity would definitely enhance my commerce. So it's mostly limited to our shopping experience, or our sales experiences are mostly limited to marketplaces, quick commerce, or maybe our own website. So definitely, yes, good connectivity has helped enhance these quick purchase decisions. And ours is more of a repeat purchase as well. So people keep coming to us in terms of buying it, whether on a website, whether it's on Amazon, whether it's on Nykaa, they keep coming. So I think better connectivity definitely helps for us.
If we can then move a little bit, and for both of you, do you think coming in of extremely high speed internet with phones that can access 5G, because that also means that the kind of people who own a 5G phone would be slightly upper, because the phones will not be at the base prices that people would have spent a little more money in buying the 5G phone. Does it open up the country for you a little differently than what it exists at this point of time? Also, does it mean you might have to do 2 approaches, one for people without 5G and one for people with 5G? Is that something that exists in the thinking, or it will evolve as it goes along?
I would say it would evolve in the future, but as of now, there's no separate strategy for 5G or without 5G users, because at least with 4G being present in the picture, the content consumption has already moved from low quality content to at least a high definition content, which is 1080p, if not 4K. They have been consuming it in the long format as well, short format, reels. The views have gone up for almost every other brand, even for us. We do a lot of influencer marketing. So there wouldn't be a separate strategy for, different lower tier markets. And phones also becoming affordable, the per capita also becoming increasing with time. Good 5G phone would come into the picture by at around 12,000 or 15,000 rupees. So yes, consumption patterns have definitely helped. Growing income patterns have definitely helped influence the purchase decisions of our customers.
And on expansion of market, does it make level playing field for smaller towns, and they can now access brands that normally they will not access because of retail distribution?
See, the technology of 5G, I think, is still more prevalent in metros, tier 1 cities. Tier 2, tier 3, 5G, if they get good 4G, is still better. But I think it's still a long way to go for tier 2 markets or tier 3 markets. So yes, speed and connectivity would definitely help, for sure.
Gaurav?
So I think progressive web, digital companies have been catering to this lack of bandwidth, or not lack of bandwidth, discrepancy in bandwidth. The same company, the same digital touch point will have like a number of variations. There might be a full-fledged variation for a person on broadband or a 4G, 5G kind of an access point. There will be a leaner experience of the same page, for a person who is going in and out of this thing. And then you have things like PWAs or AMPs for absolutely 3G, 2G kind of networks, where you are actually piggybacking on, say, a Google server to put your AMPs out. So I think there's a lot of work in just making sure that you're catering to each and every one. So you're doing the same work maybe 3 or 4 times to cater to the discrepancy of bandwidth. But then the good thing is, as and when the 5G rollout happens nationally and so on and so forth, we have always seen, not just in India, globally, cost of technology always comes down. So while the 5G phones or the 5G technology might be at a certain rate right now, they always come down. So, and we have seen that in each and every technology adoption. It peaks, it's very, very costly for the first few millions, and then it starts to come down as more innovation, more competition, more funds go into that technology. So I'm absolutely 100% confident that 5G phone or 6G at some point in time, they'll be very, very affordable, for the larger masses. And then it becomes like the holy trinity of content, access point, which is your hardware, and the fact that your bandwidth. So between these three, I think this will optimize, like how UPI or a lot of this government-induced fintech ecosystem has made India into a much larger, much more seamless, much more homogeneous market than it used to be. The same thing will happen with this also. A lot of this, say, the metros versus the non-metros because of the 5G, 4G, 3G. I think this is going to get smoothened out. And that to me is a great macro tailwind for the country also. Not just for us as companies, but I think this is going to be a bigger play.
With 5G coming in, what do you think brands will do? Will they start to build their own tech stack? And like you were talking of AMPs and stuff like that? Or this system will not change? It will depend on the scale that which you operate on. So you might stay on third party or you might build your own depending on what your ambition is. But does it change or at least helps you start thinking differently when you're building your go-to-market tech stack for the new age brands that come in and stuff like that? So I'm presuming Noise is not on third-party platforms. You run your own tech stack. Fixderma is on a third-party platform, but does that thinking start to change with coming in of 5G?
So I think younger companies, what has happened because of this democratization of tech is that anybody and everybody can open an e-commerce D2C business today. Right, you can easily have your storefront, your payment gateways are taken care of, logistics, everything, right? Your CRM, everything is like an application onto your Shopify platform or any other platform. But the thing that I think will start to happen is that even a smaller player or a young digital company can deliver much better experiences without the need to increase their technical headcount and so on and so forth. So native tech stacks and all, not so much. I mean, like, you know, it's always going to be a build versus buy kind of a discussion. Scale companies will never build, they'll always buy. Smaller companies won't have the the bandwidth or the resources to build. So I think that native tech stack key, let me make my own personalization tool, that is going to be not happening. I really don't think so. That's going to be like maybe for the internet giants, who will want to keep everything in their own ecosystem. But for the rest of us, I think I think the younger players will really benefit, that they can, even with the application-based digital footprint that they have, they'll be able to give a better experience. But that build versus buy will still be for buy, and that's why native tech stack might not happen. That's my point.
Same for you, Chirag. You don't see this change, and you don't see targeting strategies change because you have high-speed connectivity available?
For us, it would be that targeting strategies would change a bit, but they would move towards marketplaces because of quicker delivery times. The kind of sector that I'm into, people would need a sunscreen the next day if they finish one, or probably a very quick repeat purchase and a quicker delivery time. So with a native tech stack, which is very costly to develop in-house, and you need a very strong tech team, and in order to be very frugal with funds, you would need to keep these costs under control. And it also depends upon what is the kind of experience that you want to deliver to the consumer. So being outsourced onto Shopify, there are apps which we can easily use to deliver that kind of a quicker experience to the customers. So let's say there's an app where a lot of product videos, customer testimonials, video testimonials would be visible at the bottom of a product page. This would help us for sure to convert them into a purchase where they would not just go for the reviews, they would rather say that, okay, if customers are actually saying it out of experience, and these are actual concern-based customers, the user would quickly get convinced. So yes, the strategy does change a bit, but not very majorly.
So what you're saying is that some bit of that targeting may change, but it will change even for the third-party platforms, and they will become a lot more built for business. True. And better built for business.
In fact, we sell a lot on Amazon, so they have been providing us with Amazon Live. Their branding ads keep on developing every other day. You can showcase your ads so earlier on the top of the search page on Amazon, you would only be able to show an image and a three set of products. Those are called brand ads. Nowadays, with a beta version, you can showcase a video ad right on the top of a search. So the experience, the trust factor, coupled with the quicker delivery times would definitely be very helpful. And that would not be able to load unless you have a very high-speed 5G connection.
If I pull you out of your own businesses and in the own brands that you run, where do you think 5G will become a transformative force? What kind of businesses? What kind of applications? Where is that this will start to change the way people look at their own markets and business and say, okay, this is what we were waiting for and now this can happen?
I think someone used to say quick commerce is one industry where there's been a lot of innovation since the time Blinkit came up or Zepto came up. It's solved for a lot of household owners where they would not be able, it's not possible that in the morning you see that your milk is finished, or at the night in the party you need soda or something, and you would be able to get it very quickly. So yes, 5G has solved for this kind of a requirement. I think transportation, yes. Quicker delivery, yes, because better accuracy in terms of GPS locations. Entertainment for the customers, because OTT channels have been splurging on creating content for India, by Indian actors. So that is also an industry that is being developing very quickly. Content is being made for OTT platforms because of their consumption patterns have increased. So yes, definitely it has been solving for these set of customers. I think EdTech during COVID was another industry that grew very significantly because of better connectivity. It wouldn't have been possible without a good connectivity. So yes, that is one area where 5G can definitely solve more. It's still on the verge of, and healthcare also, as I think Gaurav had mentioned. So that is also another industry where
Yeah, I think Gaurav's is a lot more interesting
Related to-
space where they
yeah,
are in,
health tech.
because the medicines can start to take a completely different form. Wearables is an interesting category
In
which
fact,
actually can
they would
change.
be able to provide better
Yeah, so that's
health
what he can
stats
speak of.
via the wearables.
Yeah, no, but I think what we were discussing was that any category which is extremely dependent on microseconds and so on and so forth will benefit immensely. Autonomous driving, healthcare, and these are like couple of categories which are just going to explode. When you have almost real-time instant decision making, relaying between all the tech nodes and so on and so forth, and the decision at the end point being taken, I think those are some very interesting categories which will benefit a lot from 5G. And I really think, the seamlessness that it takes, like we have smart wearables. The data coming from here, going to your health provider, an SOP telling ki, bhai, okay, this is happening, do this. All this information, if it happens in a nanosecond, that's when healthcare, remote surgeries, all these things actually really come to life. You spoke about entertainment. Immersive entertainment is gonna go high. Where you're not just consuming, but you're participating. I think those are some categories which will really benefit immensely from great and consistent bandwidth. I think 5G, while all of us think ki haan, speed tez ho jayega, download tez ho jayenge, but it's not just about the speed, but also the consistency. I think these are the two things that 5G will deliver better than today. The consistently high speed downloads, high speed. That's what, because if you're giving this speed and then there's inconsistent, then you can't build great experiences on back of that thing. So consistency is also going to be is a big thing about 5G. But I think these two things coming in will transform a few industries. Absolutely.
Where do you see this thing go, Chirag? Where do you see this thing go, Gaurav? Where is the future? What lies ahead? What can happen?
See, 5G, even technology has been evolving at a very great speed, as we are discussing. I think a lot is yet to be developed on the basis of 5G. Connectivity is still better, or as I said, the stability of the connection, which Gaurav was saying, that is yet to be improved, because 5G is still pretty cost. The infrastructure cost is very high for setting up a 5G network. So I think it's still at least 3 years down the line where we would say 5G is a norm right now, because of the platform, the tech, the devices, the handheld devices, and the adoption across marketplaces. So I think 4G took, say, at least 6-7 years to be become a normal one. 5G, yes, at least 2 to 3 years minimum would be there.
Where do you see future, Gaurav?
The way I look at it is, first of all, I believe in the transformative powers of 5G across the nation. But we have also seen, to do something so significant on a national level, $1.5 billion country, government has to get involved. So the kind of policies, the kind of frameworks that are being made are going to be super crucial. And not just say ki bhai spectrum bechne ka and so on and so forth, but the entire policy. We spoke about hardware, we spoke about content and so on and so forth. I think what is the policy framework will determine how seamlessly 5G will come in, not just 5G, 6G at some point in time. And the second part is all about the balance sheets, very frankly, of these operators who are going to be getting it, because this is a very price elastic consumer. Even a 20 rupees pack change here and there makes you go for a different operator. So I think how do you keep the prices that consumers are used to, or a little bit above, but yet roll it out nationally. I think this will be not just in the hands of operators, but the capital that they can raise or they can get on their books, and what is the government going to do. I think these two are super crucial.
You see bills going up?
Absolutely.
You also see bills going up?
Very true. I think they've already gone up a lot.
On that note, open for questions if someone has to ask these two gentlemen anything. Thank you very much. It was fun having you both here and chatting on what 5G may bring us.
Thank you, Naresh.
Thanks, Naresh.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. With that, would like to request you to please come forward for a group picture.